Shalom to my brothers and sisters. I wanted to talk today about an article or some news that's circulating that in 2014, this government has plans on eliminating food stamps for a huge population of people. They've been already working on who they're going to eliminate for quite some time now, saying that you're going to have to be drug tested, you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to do that. Now, a lot of people will be affected by this, and unfortunately, our people will still sit back and remain in la la land until this thing comes right up on them. Won't do anything towards preparation, won't try to practice aggregation amongst our families and our friends, but we're going to continue to live this separate life of ease and comfort, because every month you know you got something coming in, and you can get a bullhorn and just scream it on the mountaintops to some of our people that things are about to change and that their whole life is going to be upset real soon, and they will still go back to sleep. Now, why am I talking about this? Because as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the end. You will hear people talking and telling you things, people such as myself and many others, saying that, look, something is about to happen, that you need to take heed. And you'll have those who are standing around looking, talking, pointing, laughing, as if you are some type of nutcase for the things that you are saying. I remember we had a brother from around here come and do some work on our farm one day. He said he was in need of a little money, and we were in need of a little help. So we said, okay, Brother Jerome, we got some work for you. Come and meet us over here. And no, as a matter of fact, my husband went to go pick him up. And when we got the brother here, he started asking all these questions about why we're doing all this and, why we're doing all of that. And we proceeded to tell him some things and, about the blacks being the Israelites and all of that. We used that whole time frame that he worked for us as an opportunity to speak to this brother. But when we came back around to the fact that this dollar, that the American economy, that all of this that we have all become so comfortable with is soon coming to an end, and that dollar is about to crash, the brother proceeded to tell us, I don't see that happening. I just don't see the dollar crashing. So you mean to tell me that one day a dollar that I have in my pocket, I ain't going to be able to use it in America? I don't believe that. I said, okay, whether you believe it or not, it is what it is. And that's the attitude that we get from most people. Even with some members of our family, we have those who listen, and we have those who believe that we're the Hebrews, but they kind of just leave it right there. Yeah, I can believe they black, but that's where it stays. In other words, I'm not going to do a thing about it. I'm not going to change my ways. I'm still a Christian. I'm going to still do my thing at my church and serve my Jesus. And that's the attitude that a lot of people take. But then you have others who, such as my mother, she has completely embraced this culture. As a matter of fact, she lives with us now, and she's changed her name to an Israelite name, a whole 9 yards, okay? But again, we have those who will hear, but they won't take heed. The scripture says, be ye doers of the word and not hearers only. And so many people are only hearers but not doers. So, back to this whole Noah thing. As it was in the days of Noah, it's going to be that way here in the end too, where people aren't going to really take heed. I told somebody one day that I'm going to treat my house like it's Noah's Ark. Doing what thus saith Yah. Whatever it takes, that's what we will be doing here. As for me and my house, we will serve Yah. But I'm appealing to my brothers and sisters everywhere. Don't close your eyes and ears to the truth of what is going to happen in this country. And I love it when people say, well, I trust the Father that he's going to take care of me and all of that. I trust the Father too. But remember, when the Pharaoh came to Joseph with his dream, he saw some good things, and then he saw some bad things. And Joseph interpreted that dream and said, okay, well, during the years of plenty, we're going to store up for the years of drought. So basically, it's okay to prepare for what you know is coming. The scripture tells us these things are going to happen. And so it's foolish for you not to prepare in some form or another. Okay? I have a feeling that what is going to happen in this country is going to force blacks to come together. And my appeal to you, brothers and sisters, is to do it now. Don't wait until you're basically on the begging end of the spectrum. Come into the ship while you can actually help to provide for our people and to be there when this time comes upon us. You know, I see a lot of communities springing up all over the place, and some of these communities are actually bringing in Gentiles. And one in particular that I know of is mostly Gentiles. That's because they know how to work together. And of course the leader is black, but these people have said, look, whatever it takes, I'm going to follow after this Hebrew man because he knows what he's talking about and he knows what he's doing. But too many of us, we've talked to several people who the question always comes, who's in charge? And the only thing that I can say to that is that Judah has always had this problem with separating from the tribe, if you know what I mean. Judah was the first one to carry his butt off and go do his own thing. And so I see evidence of that now, that Judah don't want to stay and listen to leadership. You know, even those who don't have anything wants to know who's going to be in charge. And sometimes it ain't about who's going to be in charge. Sometimes it's about working together. And that's what we should be considering at this point, and putting all of this hierarchy junk aside. Okay? Because what we're talking about, we're not talking about who's going to be ruling the kingdom, because that is already set in stone. What we're talking about is us getting our behinds together, growing food, building living structures, self-aggregating amongst our people, pooling resources, so that we are not the only ones out here begging and in some cases knocking folk upside their head to get what they got. You know, we had someone say to us one time, a few years back, that if things get kind of rough and folk need food, they said they're going to be climbing over our fence. And, you know, of course I smiled at the time because it's a woman of God, but my response now is climbing over our fence ain't an option, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. Climbing over our fence ain't an option. But what I would like to do with you, so you ain't got to climb over my fence, is come and let us reason together. Let us grow some food together. Yank up them cotton picking flowers out of your yard and grow you some greens and tomatoes and some potatoes and some onions. Grow some food, okay? A lot of us right now are just in la land. Some of us visit Disneyland every day of the year. And it's time to come up out of this fantasy world and realize what is about to take place. So many of us are struggling. And you know, me and my husband have talked about this for many, many years, because, you know, when we first started to try to venture into real estate years ago, we tried to pull a group of family together. And they came with every excuse as to why not to do it. You know, what about this and what about that, and but what if this don't happen, and what if that don't happen? And while they were still complaining, me and my husband went out and bought 5 houses. You know, and months down the line, after we got to our 10th house or so, that same group of people came back and said, well, y'all ready to do this now? The ship done already sailed, okay? We already doing this. And so what I'm saying right now, what I'm saying to my people right now, is there are things that we need to be talking about right now. And when I say talking, I don't mean talk for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I mean talk and start acting. Talk and start doing. When I say talk too, I'm talking about talk planning. We need to start planning what our next move is in terms of self-preservation, self-sufficiency. What can we do? You know, and a lot of people complain about not having money to do anything. That to me is the biggest, most ignorant excuse you can ever make when you think in these terms. You have to be wise in everything you do, Okay, that's the whole purpose of aggregation. Okay, so think about this for a minute, people. If 5,000 Hebrews all had $100 each. Now, think about this for a minute. If we all had $100 each, we can't do much with that $100, can we? No, we cannot. You can't do much with that $100 at all, period. You can, go buy a pair of shoes and an outfit, a sweater, a jacket, a coat, a couple of grains of this or a box of this or a can of that. And after that, your $100 is depleted. You can't do much with that at all. But just say, if that 5,000 Hebrews and their $100 collectively together, they aggregated together, you now have $500,000. And so that is the whole basis of aggregation, learning how to pool resources. With that $500,000, you can put a whole community in place if you play your cards right. With that $100, you can't do jack with it. You can't even buy a blade of grass with $100. But see, until we get past this ignorant mindset of, dividing. I'm going to do a video later about this article I read that this European gentleman wrote about how to get rid of us. It's very important that we understand these things because their plan is working. And part of that plan was divide and conquer. We are so divided. Every other nation on this earth know how to work together but us. And we have to ask ourselves, what the hell is wrong with us that we can't work together? I'm sitting here, I'm telling you. To me, it should send off a burst of excitement in your mind when I say to you that if 5,000 of us had $100 each, we now have $500,000. That to me should send off a level of excitement that we can achieve something now. But most of us will look at that statement and that scenario and we will just turn around and we'll take that $100 and we'll spend movie night out with the family. We'll take them go see the latest flick, and you go pay some wicked company, $6, $7 for a bucket of popcorn for the whole family, your tickets, and once you pay for everybody, you done spent that $100. We have got to get out of this zombie-like state that we're in, because right now we're acting like zombies. We're acting like the walking dead. You hear me? And in this house, I always like to say this, as for me and my house, we will serve Yah, and our eyes are wide open. I know what's going on in this world, in this country. I know what's going on amongst our people. I know who the people are who decided that we needed to be divided. And I know what all their tricks and tactics are. And one of the tricks and tactics that they've used, and this is actually outlined in this particular document that this white guy wrote on how to conquer us and how to get rid of us, one of them was to divide us as a people and to hand their women over to our men. They talked about how the black man has always lusted after the white woman. And now that he can get his hands on anyone that he wants, all she got to say is 2 words to him, and he is gone, hook, line, and sinker. But most of us use that crossing over the bridge as an opportunity to bash black women so that they can feel good about their decision. Well, if I throw it out there and put it out there that all black women are this and all black women are that, then I feel justified in taking the bait that the white man has gave me, which is his woman. Unfortunately, I don't see no turning back from this. The Most High is going to have to deal with that. My appeal aren't to the brothers or the sisters who decide to cross over. My appeal are to those who understand what is about to go down in this world, not just in this country, but in this world, period. My appeal is to those. What is it that you plan on doing? Those of you who depend on any type of government subsidy, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Don't be ashamed of it. A lot of people try to make you feel ashamed of that. In my opinion, this country owes us that much and more. But my thing is this. Don't wait until the ship starts sinking, because it's already sinking. Don't wait until the resources are depleted and then you try to do something about it. It's too late then. Join with those of us who may have a Noah's Ark that we have prepared or are preparing. Join with us and see what you can do with that. And forget about who's in charge of what. Ain't nobody gonna care about who's in charge of anything when it's time to eat some food, or when it's time to drink something, when the stores are empty and ain't no water to be bought. But you have joined with a group of people who have stored up or who are storing up. Okay? Ain't nobody gonna care about who's in charge then. You just gonna sit your butt down, you gonna eat your meal, and when it's time for you to do your thing, you gonna go out there and you gonna help them till that soil. You gonna help them plant those seeds. You gonna help them slaughter a chicken, whatever it is. A lot of our people have gotten kind of lazy. Now, they try to accuse us in general of being lazy, which is simply not true. That's just deflection. The art of deflection is what the white man uses to embattle us as a people. And so, but some of us have fallen into this lazy thing to where we don't realize the scripture says if a man don't work, he don't eat. And get this, that's talking about women too. We don't lay up on our behinds and do nothing. We have a job to do as well. You go over there to Africa, the women are throwing down just as much as the men. But you come over here, women got their weaves and their nails, and you got their makeup and they fine dress on, and they clanking about in their heels, and they got their neck stretched about. The Most High is tired of that mess. It's time for us to get down to business. We have work to do, people, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. Faith without works is dead. So I hate when I hear people say things like, oh, God gonna take care of me. Don't say it foolishly. Okay? There are things you must do, because faith without works is dead. If you're gonna sit back and say you're gonna trust God for a job, but you never, ever pick up a phone to make any appointments, you never go on any interviews, you never walk outside the door, how is he gonna give you a job when you don't have any effort that you've put forth in this? The same with food, growing food. How are you going to eat if there are no food stamps or no help programs and soup kitchens are closing everywhere? You don't have to be sitting back waiting for destruction to come up on you, and then all of a sudden you in this frenzied panic. I think it was a year ago or a couple years ago down in Georgia, they had it on the news where I guess the system had gotten jammed and food stamps didn't get applied to the sisters' cards. And so they were all on the news like, who's going to feed my family? What about my babies? Blah, blah this and blah, blah that. Okay, and get this, I'm not putting my sisters down. I'm just trying to say, look at the situation you were thrust into because of a computer glitch and that fear that came on you because of it. So doesn't it make sense to try to prevent that, if you can, from happening? Now, I'm not saying that everyone is going to go out and just buy a whole bunch of land and start growing food and doing stuff like that. What I'm saying, if we learn how to aggregate, if we learn how to pool resources, if you have some land, why don't you consider doing something in a community aspect with the right people? Because it is important that you do it with the right people, because you don't want to get a bunch of lazy brothers lounging around while you and your family planting and tilling and doing all of the work. Everybody has to hold their own, of course, in every situation. And if you're going to do something like this, you have to be able to hold your own, because ain't nobody going to be laying up kings and queens in somebody else's castle. Okay? But we have a lot of work to do in a very short time to do it in, people. I'm not trying to invoke fear. I'm just trying to get you to think, because this stuff is going to happen. You denying it and you declaring that it ain't so ain't going to change what it is. We have got to get our minds together. A lot of us have got to put our attitudes aside and stop worrying about things that don't matter. Too many of us are focusing on things that don't matter. And as I look at my family, at my children, we've instilled in them, for a very long time, since birth, that they have to work hard, that they have to hold their own, that mommy and daddy may not always be around, and that you will have to take care of yourself if we have to depart. And so I think it's important that we start to teach this to our children. And those of us who are adults and never learned this, it's time for you to learn it too. Instead of making your plans on knocking somebody upside their head if you get hungry enough, why don't you start planning and prepping now? pooling resources is the way to go. I keep saying that because that's the one thing we don't do. We are the only people who don't know how to do that. And I'm thinking it's the tribe of Judah, because those folk over in Africa, the other tribes that are still in Africa, they do it very well. They live in communities and they grow and sow together. They do everything together. But here in America, everybody trying to see who got the biggest and the baddest house and whose car is the best. And it ain't gonna matter what kind of car you riding around in if you can't afford to put gas in it. After a while, all of this stuff that you've come to cherish so much is going to come to naught. A man's life doesn't consist in the abundance of things which he possesses. Okay? So what I'm trying to appeal to you to do, people, is get with those who are ready to do something. Don't waste time with people who just want to stay stuck on stupid. Don't waste time with that. You know, I don't have time for that. Me and my family, we don't have time for that. If we were to open up our farm to families to come here, we most certainly wouldn't be dealing with nobody who feel like they too cute to work. No brother who feel like that he don't have to do nothing, but he want to sit down to a plate of food. Nothing like that's going to happen. Because if me and my children can get out here and work, if my husband can build stuff around here and keep the animals intact, and you know, and till he and my son tilling the ground in preparation for planting and doing this and doing that, then I feel like anyone who comes here can do the same thing. But we have to get rid of that lazy mindset and understand that, look, we are going to be forced into this. Many of us are going to be forced to move back in with parents or cousins or uncles. And personally, I think it's a good idea if you move in together instead of paying all of this rent and money out all over the place. I've always thought it was ignorant when I think about how other cultures live. You know, sometimes if you really step back and look at things, you'll see how foolish we've been. We have whole families. If you add all their mortgages up, they're spending $30,000, $50,000 a month on either rent or mortgages. That is really ignorant when you think of what you can do with $40,000 or $50,000 a month. Now I'm talking about whole families, you know, cousins, uncles, grandparents, and, you know, siblings. All of the money we pay out so we can say, look at my bad crib over here. Look at my bad crib over here. Look at my place over here, my place over there. If we learned how to live together, you know, and I'm not saying in no cramped quarters either. I'm talking about having space. I mean, even if it was land and we all built up on that land. If you have a family with like a lot of acres or something and you all built up on that land, so you don't have to be falling all over each other in one house. What I'm trying to say here is if we learned how to pool resources, we wouldn't be so broke, busted, and disgusted all the time. We're broke, busted, and disgusted because we are just hell-bent on making our enemies rich. Most of us take pride in going to spend $200, $300 for some junk. But if you say, hey, you want to go in with me and buy a cow and have it slaughtered in a kosher manner, oh no, I ain't got no money for that. But then you pop up with some new shoes that you done pay some designer, some white designer, some person who probably hate Negroes. You paying them all this money for their junk. You know, I used the scripture the other day that said that our people are foolish and stupid. And hey, it is what it is. Because when you look at how we do and how we live and how we act and how we function, what else can be said? Now, this ain't me saying it, it's the scripture. And I agree with scripture. You know, sometimes when I look around, I get this frustration because our people just don't get it. We just don't get it. We just love making everybody rich but our own. You know, the quickest way to become a millionaire, is for 10,000 of us to come together and say, here's my 100. That $100 pooled together with all these other people's $100 makes us all a millionaire. Now, I'm not saying we split the money, because if we split the money, we all going to get just $100 a piece again. What I'm saying is take that million and find a worthwhile investment or opportunity and make that million grow to 2 or 3 million, and so on and so on and so on. You know, like Claude Anderson talked about you get that first level first, then you go to the second level, and then the third level. This kind of stuff works, but our people don't realize it because they don't even want to try it or apply it. And my whole thing is this, and I'm going to talk a little bit about business because I've been kind of keeping away from the subject, because I feel like our people need to get the word and get close to Yah first, because he ain't going to bless you in business unless you are close to him. He just ain't going to do it. But I'm just going to talk a little bit to you about business. I learned early on that you never put all of your eggs in one basket. If any of you were to ask me, what is our business right now? I don't have one answer for you. What we do have is one corporation. And everything that we do under our corporation, it may be this over here or that over there. In other words, in this house, we are jacks of all trades and masters of many. We do a lot of different things. We don't have all of our eggs in one basket. The Most High has blessed us with many things that we can do to earn a living for our family and to take care of our family. And see, these are the things that I think is very important, that we don't just learn farming, but we learn business too. And we're getting to the point now where we want to open up our home to our brothers and sisters, whether it's just a weekend retreat or whether it's an extended stay, whatever it may be. But we want to do this with realistic people who understand self-sufficiency, aggregation amongst our people, and all of this stuff. We want to do that with people who are going to throw down and not just get this knowledge and just go stack it on the shelf somewhere and then go back and try to find them an hourly job to where they're at the mercy of the company owner, where he can say, look, you fired, or look, your hours being cut, or look, we don't have no more work for you. You know, I learned that a long time ago. When I was a teenager, I heard one of the ministers at my church say that he doesn't want to rent himself out anymore for an hourly wage. That stuck with me all these years, and I thought about it. I'm like, a lot of these companies, they don't pay you what you're worth, so you're basically renting yourself out for a lot less than what you're worth. And when I look at everything, all the talents and all the information and all the knowledge that the Most High has blessed us with in business, I give him the praise. I don't give myself the praise. I give the Most High the praise. But that being said, I like to share this information with my people. And at some point, we are going to put more time and effort into making this information available, things that we know. We're going to do that. But again, I like to focus on what's real first. Don't wait until the crap hits the fan before you start preparing. We need to get our food growing. We need to get our food stored. We need to get our families' minds right. We need to get them out of the public food system, because they are doing nothing but damaging more and more the minds of your children. This thing is a full circle of events that we have to tend to daily. We have to. We have no other choice at this point. What happened down in New Orleans with Hurricane Katrina was just these people showing exactly how they're going to treat natural disasters and how black people will be put on the back burner. Now, if you want to sit back and still have confidence in this system, thinking that they're going to have your back and got you covered, you are sadly mistaken, and you will be just like some of our poor brothers and sisters who learned the hard way that these people in this country don't care about you. They simply don't. You wishing and hoping that it's true, that they do care about you, is not going to make it happen. So what I say to my people right now is to learn how to aggregate. And I know I've said that word a dozen times. I've been saying it to my children and all of this. I've been really hammering this home because I think it's so very important that we learn this. I fear for some of my people because some of them you can't even reach. Some of our people don't even like to stay in the loop on anything. And it's going to be like the scripture says, like a snare. Destruction is going to come upon this earth. You know, and it always hits our people first because everybody else looking out for theirs. And we're the only people, you know, some of us get knowledge and we don't even try to bring it back to our people. And then some of us who do try to bring it back to our people just close their ears. I don't want to hear what you're talking about. My life here in America is just too great to accept that you're saying this is about to come to an end. Okay, well, I'm saying it and I'm going to say it again. It's about to come to an end. And if you don't want to accept it, if you don't want to believe it, you shall soon see what is about to happen in this place. There are so many of us who have information and knowledge about certain things, and we are perfectly willing to share with our brothers and sisters. But you have to make that first step, and you got to become realistic. Become realistic and stop messing around. Okay, we are messing around way too much as a people, and my time is about to run out, so I'm going to have to restart it.